Hello students, let's start with the next concept, that is surface tension. This is the last concept of our chapter. Surface tension means it is a property of a liquid at rest by virtue of which the liquid surface tends to occupy a minimum surface area and behaves like a stretched membrane. See, when we will take a water drop, and water drop will be in a spherical shape, and also when we take a mercury drop, place that mercury drop on a glass surface, so it will have a nearly a spherical shape, right? All of these are having the nearly spherical shapes or a spherical shapes. Why? Because the volume of a liquid will have a minimum surface area in case of a spherical. When the liquids get a spherical shape, then that time they will have a minimum surface area. So to have a minimum surface area, the surface of the liquid will be in the type of a stretched membrane. That is, that surface of the liquid is stretched towards its ends, so to have a minimum surface area. And so that stretching force that exists on the surface of the liquid, that forces are known as the surface tension. Take it as a here. Take this round shape as a surface of any liquid. So to note down the surface tension of any liquid, take a imaginary line AB. On this imaginary line AB, the opposite and equal forces are applied by the surface tension forces on the each side. See these arrow marks on the either sides, these are the indicating the surface tension forces on the either side, which are equal but in opposite direction on this line, imaginary line AB. So the surface tension of this liquid is defined by this formula, that is the total force on the either side of the imaginary line divided by length of the line. The total force which is acting on the either side of this imaginary line divided by length of this line AB is given by the surface tension of a liquid. And then this SI unit of a surface tension is Newton per meter, and the dimensional formula is mL0T raised to minus 2. And this surface tension is mainly in case of a liquids is there. This will not be in case of gases, because the surface tension means this is mainly a surface phenomena, whereas in case of gases, the gases will not have a specified surfaces to attain this surface tension phenomena. So that's why only the liquids have the property of surface tension, not the gases. And next we are having the surface energy. See, the surface energy is the potential energy of a surface molecule per unit area of a surface. That is the surface energy. See in this image, see, consider here a beaker which is having a liquid in that. So we are considering a liquid molecule inside the liquid and also which is at the surface of the liquid also. So these both are having the different forces acting on each of the molecule, because as this molecule is inside the liquid molecule, so it will have the forces from the surrounding liquid molecules. But when we take the molecule which is at the surface of the liquid, that time this will also having the forces due to these liquid molecules also, which are inside this surface. but it will also have the forces because of this vapors or this air which is at the above surface of this liquid surface. So because of this vapors or the air, these surface molecules will experience a downward force. The downward force will be experienced by this surface molecules. So when we want to take a molecule from the inside of the liquid to the surface area, if we want to take this molecule from this inside to the liquid surface, then we have to drag this molecule from this to this place, which is the in the opposite direction that of the downward force. So that is that work done, whatever happens while taking this molecule from this position to this position, that will be stored as the potential energy of the molecule. So we can say that the surface molecules will have a more potential energy than that of the molecules which are inside of the liquid. So that excess potential energy of the surface molecules per unit area of the surface is called as surface energy. And the formula for the surface energy is S is equal to potential energy divided by area. And we can also write the formula for surface energy in case of surface tension. That is, if T is the surface tension of any liquid, then A is the area of a surface. Then surface energy is written as S is equal to T into A. And the SI unit of the surface energy is joule per meter square. And the dimensional formula is mL0 T raised to minus 2. Next we are having the relation between the surface tension and the surface energy. See, here we are considering a soap film which is in the rectangular frame. Consider PQRS a rectangular frame, and we have dipped this PQRS frame in a soap solution. So a soap frame is formed or a soap film is formed, that is PQRS. So length of the frame is L, that is same at all the edges. So because of the surface tension of the soap film, there is a force acting on the RS towards the film because of the surface tension. So that force will be F is equal to T2L. Here we have taken 2 times because the soap film has the 2 surfaces. That's why we have taken the 2 here. So the F is equal to T2L is the force acting on the arm RS towards the film due to the surface tension of the film. And take it as a equation number 1. And let we displace this frame or side RS to the new position, that is R dash S dash, with the displacement of X. So the work done will be W is equal to F into X. We know that. So work done W is equal to, we will have F, that is T2L from the equation number 1. So the W is equal to 2TL into X. This is the work done. So take it as a equation number 2. And we know that the work done is the potential energy of the liquid film by using this surface energy. The work done is stored as the potential energy in case of liquids. So this work done is the potential energy we are taking. So the surface area is after displacement. When the surface area is displaced, so the surface area will be A is equal to 2L into X. The area of this film is now became 2L into X because X is the the displacement just we have taken. Then take it as a equation number 3. And we know that the surface energy formula, that is the potential energy divided by area. And from equation 2 we have got the work done, and we are treating this work done as the potential energy. So potential energy divided by area will be 2TLX divided by 2LX. So on simplifying, we will get surface energy is equal to T. Numerically, we can say that the surface tension is equal to the surface energy. Now we determine the surface tension by the liquid. Say water. Take a physical balance. Now we are determining the surface tension of a water. So take a physical balance. Take this physical balance, and at the left side we have tied a glass plate, and we have suspended this glass plate into a beaker which is containing water. And to maintain this glass plate at the surface of the water, we have balanced with this glass plate with the help of a weights at the right side. Next, this weight, whatever the weights are there, which are at the right side, they are making the glass plate to balance at the surface. So this W is acting as the forces. So we know the surface tension of the water. Therefore, we are having the surface tension of the water by using the formula, that is equal to F divided by 2L, that is the force divided by length. Here we have taken 2 because we are not taking here the length AB, because we have taken a glass plate here which is having the area 2L. So we have taken 2 into L here. Next we are having the force, whatever the force we are having, that is F is equal to W, that is M into G. So then substituting this in the surface tension formula, we will have T is equal to W divided by 2L, that will be T is equal to mg divided by 2L. This is the surface tension of the water. Next we are having the concept of angle of contact. Angle of contact means, say take a glass beaker and we have put the water in that. So when we put the water in that glass beaker, the shape of the water will be like this. It will have a slightly concave. This shape we are calling it as a concave. So if we draw a tangent at the point of this contact, see, when here where the contact of water and the glass has taken place, at that point if we draw a tangent to the surface of the liquid, to the inner surface of the liquid, so that angle, whatever we are getting, theta, that is known as angle of contact. And it is defined as the angle between the tangent to the liquid surface at the point of contact and the solid surface inside the liquid is known as angle of contact. And we are having the two types of angle of contact, that will be acute or obtuse, that is the less than 90 degree or the more than 90 degree. It will be based on the nature of the liquids we are using. There are two types of liquids. One are the liquids which wets the water glass surfaces, and another one is the which does not wets the glass surfaces. And the water comes under the which wets the glass surfaces, and whatever the liquids who wets the glass surfaces will have a concave meniscus or this type of surface. And the liquids which does not have the capacity to wetting of the glass, or the liquids which does not wet the glasses, will have the convex meniscus or this type of surface or a liquid surface. So that time the convex surfaces will have the angle more than 90 degree, that is the obtuse, and the concave surfaces will have a acute angle, that is less than 90 degree. This is the about angle of contact. And next we are having the excess pressure inside a curved surface. We have seen the surfaces, curved surfaces of the liquids. So how much the pressure is there inside that curved surfaces, that is we are studying here. We are having the three types of surfaces, that is plane surface, concave surface and the convex surface. See, in case of a plane surfaces, see this is the plane surfaces. In that plane surfaces, whatever the surface tension acting, take this as a imaginary line or as imaginary point. So because of the plane surfaces, the whatever the surface tension is acting, that will be in this direction as we have shown in this diagram. So the pressure which is outside the liquid will doesn't have any concept of this surface tension towards it, and also the pressure which is inside the liquid, that is also doesn't have anything corresponding to this surface tension. So that's why whatever the pressure of a vapor or a gas molecules which are having outside the liquid is same as that of the inside the liquid, because both are having the both are experiencing the pressures only due to the atmosphere, and both are not having anything regarding the surface tension. So the pressure at the vapors is equal to the pressure of the liquids, that is the inside pressure is equal to the outside pressure in case of a plane surfaces. But where in case of a concave surfaces, see the concave surfaces have this type of surface. So when we consider the surface tension at the surface of this concave surface, this surface tension will be acting like this. It is typically up in a slightly upward direction. So because of this surface tension, the whatever the resultant pressure will be in a upward direction, because these surface tensions are acting slightly upward due to the concave side. So whatever the resultant will be, that will be it will be influenced by this surface tension forces. So that's why the resultant will be in a upward direction. And so the upward direction is there is a vapor pressure. So because of this resultant pressure, the vapor pressure will be increased than the liquid pressure. So in case of a concave surfaces, the vapor pressure is greater than the liquid pressure, or we can say the pressure which is outside the liquid is greater than the pressure inside the liquid. And next we are having the convex surfaces. Convex surfaces are mainly in this shape. This is the convex surfaces, and same as that of the concave surfaces, here also there is a influence of surface tension. Here the surface tension is acting slightly downward direction, that is due towards the liquid side. So due to this force, due to the surface tension, the whatever the resultant pressure will be, or the resultant force will be, that will be in the downward direction, that is towards the liquid. So we can say the liquid pressure is greater than the vapor pressure, or in case of a convex surface we can say the pressure inside the liquid is greater than the pressure outside the liquid. So by saying this concave and convex, we can say in generally we can say that the pressure at a concave side is greater than the convex side. See, here it is a concave surface, this is concave upward. So this concave upward is having the vapor at the the pressure greater at the vapor side. As in case of convex also, this convex surface is having a concave downward. If we see it, we can say it as this convex surface. This is a convex surface. By seeing like this, if we turn it and see, we can say this as a concave downward. So this is in this concave downward is also having the pressure greater at the concave side. So in generally we can say the pressure at a concave side is greater than a pressure at a convex side. And we are having that the excess pressure depends on the surface tension. By using these three conditions, we have came to know that the excess pressure depends on the surface tension and the radius of curvature. The radius of curvature means where this concave is a slightly a round in shape. So where this round shape will have the radius, or when we complete this round shape to the fully round or a circle one, and that time whatever the radius it will be, on that also that is the radius of curvature, on that also the excess pressure is depending on. And next we are having the excess pressure for the drops. Drops means, see, the spherical liquid drops. We are having a spherical liquid drops, and we know that the spherical liquid drops are having the inside it is having a liquid or a say water. So inside the liquid whatever the pressure will be there, that will be more than that of the outside, because it is having a concave from all the sides. So we know that in case of a concave side, the pressure inside the liquid is greater than that of the pressure outside the liquid, or in this area the pressure is lesser than the inside area. So the excess pressure we are having the Pi minus P naught is equal to PL minus PV. That excess pressure we are having, this is we have written it directly, that is 2T by R. It is having a lengthier derivation that you no need to derive that one. So for drops the excess pressure will be PL minus PV, that is equal to 2T by R, where R is the radius of curvature of the drop and T is the surface tension. And next for the bubbles. In bubbles, for the air bubbles also we are having, for the soap bubbles also we are having. For air bubbles it is same as that of the drops. For air bubbles they are having the radius R inside the liquid and having surface tension T. So the excess pressure will be same as that of the drops, that is 2T by R. But for the soap bubbles of radius R and the surface tension T, a soap bubble has the two liquid surfaces in contact with air. Look, whatever the soap bubble will be there, that will be having the two surfaces which are in contact with the air, that is inside outside. So one is the inside of the bubble and one is the outside of the bubble. So that's why the excess pressure for this soap bubble will be 2 times of the normal bubble. So that will be the excess pressure is equal to 2 times of 2T by R, that will be 4T by R. So in generally, the excess pressure of a liquid or a bubble is inversely proportional to the radius. See, by these three conditions we can say that the excess pressure inside the liquid or a bubble or a drop will be inversely proportional to the radius. As the radius of the bubble increases, the excess pressure decreases, or vice versa. And this is about the excess pressure inside the curved surfaces, or in case of drops and bubbles. Next we are having the capillarity. Capillarity means, see, the capillary is a long thin glass tube. It is a very thin glass tube. It's like a nearly hair-like structure, or a slightly thicker than a hair, but it will be a long, very thin glass tube, that is called a capillary tube. And when we put that capillary tube inside any liquid, and this capillary is having both the ends of this capillary are open, no any ends are closed here. So when we put this capillary inside any liquid, so when we put that in any liquid, the liquid goes inside the capillary tube. The liquid goes inside the capillary tube, and it may be rise or may fall in the liquid size inside the capillary tube. That rise or fall phenomena is known as the capillarity. That is, the phenomena of rise or a fall of the liquids in the capillary tube is called a capillarity. When we put this capillary tube in any liquid, that time there may be rise in the height of the liquid inside the capillary tube, or it may be there will be a loss or a fall of the height in case of a inside the capillary tube. That phenomena is known as capillarity. Consider here a capillary tube of radius r. Here we are having a liquid, and we have dipped here one capillary tube which is having the radius r, and the surface tension of liquid here we are taking as a T. T is the surface tension of this liquid, and the angle of contact is theta. Angle of contact, we know that when we dip this capillary inside the liquid rises to some height, and when we draw a tangent from the point of contact to the surface inside the liquid, whatever the angle is formed, that is the angle of contact, that is we are noting it as a theta. So the force of surface tension trying to pull the liquid up here, see, the surface tension, whatever it is having, this is a kind of force, and that force of surface tension is trying to pull the liquid up inside this this capillary tube. So whatever the force will be, that is due to the surface tension, that is F is equal to 2 pi RT cos theta. Here we have taken 2 pi r and T cos theta. Here T cos theta is due to, here this T cos theta which acts at every point of the meniscus in the upward direction. See, this every point of the meniscus there is a force which is acting in a upward direction, which is responsible for the rise in the capillary tube, wherein we are having another component, that is r sin theta, but it is not having, it is acting horizontally, so which is not responsible for the rise of the fluid or liquid inside the capillary. So just the forces which are responsible for the rise in the liquid, layers of the liquid inside the capillary, just that is we are taking, that is T cos theta. T cos theta. And 2 pi r because there is a circular meniscus. This tube is circular in shape, so all the upper surface of the liquid inside this is having the force. So that is the circumference of this liquid inside the tube is 2 pi r. So total force will be F is equal to 2 pi r T cos theta. And this force is balanced by the weight of the liquid inside the capillary. And this, whatever the force is there, F, that is balanced by the liquid which is inside this capillary tube, which is having the height of h, and the rho is the density of the water, as we have said earlier. Then the weight of the liquid column will be, weight of this liquid inside this column will be W is equal to pi r square h rho g. Here we are having pi r square h, that is the volume of the cylinder, because this capillary is in a cylindrical shape. So the volume of the cylinder is pi r square h into the density. Volume into density will give us the mass into g, that is gravitation. We will have a W, that is W is equal to, that is the weight of the liquid column, W is equal to pi r square h into rho into g. So at equilibrium, F and W are equal. So by using 1 and 2 equations, we can write 2 pi r T cos theta is equal to pi r square h rho g. By this equation, we will have the equation for the height of the liquid, that is 2h is equal to 2t cos theta divided by r rho g. This is the capillary rise or a height of the liquid inside a capillary. That is equation 3. And this equation is also known as a ascent formula. And in case of a liquids which wets the glasses, for that we are having the acute angles as a angle of contact, that is theta is less than 90 degree. So, and in case of theta is equal to less than 90 degree, we will get the equation this as, that time the cos theta will be becomes equal to the positive value. So because of this cos theta value, the h, the rise in the capillary will be positive. So the liquids which wets the glasses, for that we will have the height as a positive one. The example for the liquids are the water, milk, kerosene, petrol, etc. These all are liquids, the height of the capillary rise will be in a positive. And next, for the liquids which doesn't wet the glasses, for the liquids which doesn't wet the glasses, for that we are having the angle of contact theta as obtuse one, that is theta is greater than 90 degree. For that the cos theta value will be negative. So because of cos theta negative, the rise in the capillary will be height is equal to negative value. And the example for this type of liquid is a mercury. And this is about the capillary rise. And from the equation 3 we can also write that the T will be constant for any liquid, and theta will be constant for a constant, rho will be constant, g will be constant. And for these all constant values, we are having this, the h, that is the height of a rise in the liquid will be inversely proportional to the radius of the capillary tube. If the radius of the capillary is narrower, then the height will be larger, and if the larger glass tube is taken, or with the capillary is having a wider radius, then there will be a less height of the liquid rise we will see in case of a capillary rise. And some of the illustrations for the capillarity are, in day to day life we are seeing this. The water rises in plants from the root to top. When we pour the water to the plants, due to the capillarity phenomena only, these plants suck the water from the bottom to its top. This is one of the illustration for capillarity. Next we are having the ink absorbed by the blotting paper. When we put some ink on the blotting paper, that all the ink is absorbed by the blotting paper. That is also one of the illustration of capillarity. And next, because of a capillarity, the ink rises up to the tip of the nib of a pen continuously. See, this is also a illustration of capillarity, that the ink rises into the tip of a nib. That's why only the pen writes. That is also one illustration of capillarity. And another one is when the oil lamp glows because of the capillary action only. And these are some of the illustrations of capillarity. And next we are having the applications of surface tension. For our syllabus we are having the actions of detergents. See, we know the detergents. While the cloths are dirty, means when they are having the oil and grease materials or spots on their cloths, those are not easily removed by the pure water. So that time we have to add some of the detergents or soaps we have to use to clean them. Then what is the action, or what is the mechanism happens when we add some detergents to that water? We will see. When we add some detergents to that water, these detergents are mainly having this type of structure. That is, one end is the hydrophilic end, another one is the hydrophobic end. Hydrophilic means which is the water loving, or which is go and stick with the water molecules, which loves to stick on the water molecules. That is the hydrophilic end. And hydrophobic end, which doesn't like the water molecules. So this hydrophobic end will go and stick on the dirt particles or the grease materials. So see this, when we add soap molecules, consider a water here, and we have added some of the soaps or detergents. So this hydrophilic end is attracted, the round shape, it is a hydrophilic end of the soap molecules or detergents, so that are attracted by the waters, and those are in this manner. So see, this hydrophobic end is free here, and when we want to wash the clothes, that time this hydrophilic end is attracted by the water molecules, and hydrophobic end is attracted by the oil or grease materials which are on the surface of the clothes. So this type of micelles these are the micelle structures. These are formed, and these are washed away by using a easy water. So because of the structures of a detergents, we can clean the cloths easily by using these detergents because of the hydrophilic and hydrophobic end. And this is about the action of detergents. And this completes our chapter, that is mechanical properties of fluids.